a tight spot. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, friends. Oh,
Sorry.
hi, Fonda. Shabbat Shalom. Is Fonda the greeter this morning? Yes. Welcome, Lauren. Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to see you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very well. I'm happy to see you.
Shalom. I'm going to, I just turned my mic. Oh, these are on. I just turned my mic off. But I have a new grandchild, so on Monday. And, yeah. Thank you. And he's healthy, and my daughter-in-law is healthy, and everyone's happy, and my grandson is doing great with that. So that's awesome time. That my son matched his first choice residency on Friday. What a great week. It was a big week. So that was what department? Right now
Shabbat Shalom, Fonda.
Boker
Boker
Tov.
Tov.
184. Settling into the magnitude, the beauty, the possibility of Shabbat. We pray responsively. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of peace and gratitude, overflowing with love and joy. They are eager to confront the day, to make the world a better place. They are recovering from illness
or have escaped misfortune. We rejoice with them.
Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily on them. Families have been broken. Loved ones lie in a bed of pain. Death has taken a cherished loved one. May our presence and our caring, our community, bring them comfort and support.
Some hearts are embittered. Ideals are betrayed and mocked. Answers sought in vain. Life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore our hope and renew our faith.
A morning prayer of gratitude, 186. Choose your gender pronoun, Ode'ani, Mode'ani, Moda'ani, Modim ani. Full of gratitude, I enter into this opportunity, to this day of sunshine, hope, possibility of Shabbat. At the bottom, Psalm 121. Reminder that if we ever needed, we could exit the back doors, and on both sides of the halls are exits that go out to the sides of the building. Of course, it's always possible to leave through the front door, and if we needed alternative access points into the social hall, there are exits, and up behind the bima, up onto the bima, and behind is an emergency exit. We shouldn't know from it, and our being aware is how we keep each other safe. 194, for this sense of gratitude and responsibility, amazement and humility about my physicality, understanding that it is not a given that I'm gifted this day that my body works and enables me to meet the challenges together. Baruch
Baruch
atah
atah
Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah. Uvaravo nikavim, nikavim, chalulim, chalulim, galuya v'yadua, lifnei chistei chevodecha,
she'im
yipateach echad mehem, o yisatem echad mehem.
אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך.
ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות.
196, breathe in, nishima, and let it animate and land in your nishama, your soul.
אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי. ברוך אתה אדוני אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר היא.
198, traditional Birkot HaShachar begins here. Reach for the yellow sheets that you took as you walked through the doors. What a wonderful world. Birkot HaShachar is magnificent. And if you find your rhythm in the traditional words, that is a gift. And in this community, we never hesitate to find alternative ways to express our gratitude, our amazement, our sense of well-being.
כשאני רואה בחלוני עץ שמוריד לך וגם לי, אני שר לעצמי איזה אחלה עולם. השמיים כהולים עננו לבן, והבוקר בכיר ובלילה ישן, ואכלו לעצמי איזה אחלה עולם. בכל צבעי הקשת יפים החדשים פרוסים אחרי הגשם על פני האנשים, והיום כה יפה וקל לי כל כך לומר שאני אוהב אותך. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow, they'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed days, the dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself,
gratitude, we go to responsibility 207. The third paragraph, we need Jewish people to become Jewishly inspired and informed leadership. Not only rabbinical and cantorial, but also lay members of this community. We need Jews more conversant with the thought and teachings of Judaism, to whom Judaism is no cold, remote theology, and Hebrew learning a matter of mystical ignorance, and to whom Jewish culture is no proxied culture. The cantor does it, the rabbi does it, rather we do it. We need a reassertion of faith and a reawakening of interest in a cultural heritage that is all too rapidly being relegated to the exclusive possession of graduates of rabbinical seminaries. We desperately need lay leaders today with vision and fortitude.
Amen.
213, Hareini mizamenet pi lehodot ulehalel ulishapeach et bor'i. Together with
this do I prepare myself
to thank, praise, and glorify my Creator.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech me'olam v'tishbachot.
Amen. 215.
Ashrei yoshvei v'techa.
Od yahalucha sela. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo. Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav. Tehillah leDavid, aromimcha Elohai HaMelech, v'avrecha shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Bechol yom avracha, ve'al shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai u'mulal me'od, v'ligdulato ein cheker.
Dor v'dor l'shabeach, uv'techa yikdihu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Venus noratecha yomreinu, et gulacha apshnecha.
Zecher avtucha yabi'u, v'tzitchatcha yiranenu.
Hanu v'achamim Adonai, erech apayim ochadol chased.
Tov Adonai la'akov, rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol masecha, v'yasecha v'rachucha.
Kvod malchutcha yomeru, u'gvuratcha yitaberu.
L'chodliv livnei hagdam gedurotav, uchtov hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador.
Somech Adonai l'chol movim, v'zokev l'chol hakufifim.
Einei chol elecha yisaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam be'ito.
Potach et adecha, maspi l'chol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol dracha, v'chasid bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai l'chol karov, l'chol asher yikra uve'emet.
Ritzon yirei av ya'aseh, ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshi'em.
Shamer Adonai et kol ahav, ve'et kol hashar yimazmi.
Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi, v'yivarech kol basar, shem kodsho le'olam va'ed, va'anachnu
Narech ya.
me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah. 218. 224. Yitkadav Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divrach Hirutei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon Uvyomechon Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv V'immeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ul'amei Omaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Tekudesha Berichu Le'ela min kol berchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiram be'alma v'immeru. Amen. 226, as you are able, standing together, facing Yerushalayim with love, with protest, with hope, with conviction, with faith of all that we can be according to the mitzvot of the one source. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our source, gracing us with surpassing compassion, on account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well, O merciful one. Have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. V'ha'ereneinu b'toratecha, v'daber libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yirah et shemecha, v'lo nivosh, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora patachnu. Nagila v'nismicha Nagila v'nismecha v'yeshuatecha. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, HaShekhinah, work wonders. You chose us, truly you drew us near to you. Great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. 232, as you are able. Feel free to stand with me, affirming our questions, affirming our faith, affirming our aspiration, affirming our willingness to live this life of faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
234.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות
בין עיניך
וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובשעריך. 236. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 241. At the bottom of the page, Heschel teaches us about Birkat Geula. It's not enough to be concerned for the life to come. Our immediate concern must be with justice and compassion in life, here and now, with human dignity, welfare, and security. When we live up to that mitzvah, those mitzvot, then we can begin to imagine the experience of Miriam and Moses and Bnei Yisrael as they knew divine presence crossing the sea 240.
על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתחן אומך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
In Talmud Ta'anit 8 Aleph, Rabbi Ami taught these words, and I love them because they challenge me to really understand what they're asking of me. A person's prayer is not acceptable unless one's heart is in one's hand. 242.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot U'mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah.
246.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Akol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umkayeh Emunato Lishenei Afar Vichamocha Bagivurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nemanata l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim. 248 for all that is kadosh. Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam Kashem shemaktiv shimoto b'shmei marom Kakatuv yod niviecha V'charaz el zeh v'hamar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzivahos Melo kol haaretz kevodo Adir, Adirenu Adonai Adonenu ma'adir Shimcha bechol haaretz Baruch kevod Adonai Mimkomo Echad hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu V'hu Yashmienu V'rachamav Le'nei kol chai Ani Adonai Elohechem Yimloch Adonai le'olam Elohai Yitzion Ledor vador Hallelujah Ledor vador
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador Ledor vador Nagid Godlecha Ledor vador Ledor vador Ledor vador Nagid Godlecha Ulenetzach netzachim Kedushatecha naktish Kedushatecha naktish B'shivchecha Eloheinu Mipinu lo yamush Le'olam le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh Yai lai lai yai lai yai lai Yai lai yai lai lai yai Yai lai 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 yai
250. for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love, we offer thanks and blessings. HaShalom. Praying each of us in a private space, belachash, through page 260, indulge in the gift of prayer, indulge in the gift of heart, the unwritten prayer, and when you have spoken what you need to speak on this Shabbos morning, work your way back to your seats.
יחיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי Shalom Bimrama
At this time, I'm going to ask that Corinne come forward, and I'm going to ask that my Gabai, Abigail, join Corinne here at the Bima. 362.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kemaasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Arachamim hitiva v'rtzonecha et Zion Tivnei Chomot Yerushalayim Kivecha Levad Batachnu Melech El Ram V'Nisa Adon Olamim 364 Ki mitzion teitzei Torah Ki mitzion teitzei Torah Udvar Adonai Yerushalayim Se'u she'arim roshechem U'se'u pitchei olam Yavo melech hakavod Mihu ze melech hakavod Adonai tzivot U'melech hakavod Selah 366 Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedusha. So we pray responsively with our Chazanit, with Alexandra. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Turn around.
Gadlu l'Adonai iti, u'neromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagidula v'hagivura v'hatiferet v'hanetzchach v'chahol. Kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamalacha v'hamisnaseh lecho nerosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omer. Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim ha'olam homed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
So before you are seated, grab yourself a red chumash. If you feel strongly about watching the trope, grab yourself a blue chumash. Mostly we have red ones in this room. We will be on page 687 of the red chumash. 687, it is chapter 40, verse 30. Chapter 40, verse 30. And for my first reader, I'm going to invite Sheldon Horowitz to come forward. And for my first aliyah, I would like to ask the two board members that are present. I'd like to ask Karen Leader and Melanie Hall to come forward just to say on behalf of a grateful congregation for all that you do, but especially how appreciative we are that our board members are present and show up. Do you got it here? Do you have a yad? On Shabbat morning. Nala Amod Chana mi Beit Binyamin ve'Aliyah Nala Amod Ruach mi Beit Avram ve'Dora La Aliyah Harishona.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai
Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
687. Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayasem et hakir ben ohel moed uvein hamizbeach vayiten shama mayim l'rachtzah v'rachatzu mimenu Moshe ve'Aaron uvanav et yidehem ve'et raglehem b'voam el ohel moed uve'karavtam al hamizbeach yirchatzu Ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe.
Yasher koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan v'totenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. And you two stay here. Yesher koach. For my second aliyah, I would like to ask Lauren to come as the reader, and I would like to honor you, Fonda, for stepping up, together with Karen Wilder, for being our greeter. And again, none of this stuff happens without those of you who show up. We remain on page 687. We are at chapter 40, verse 33. Nala Amod. Fonda, you're not in here for me. Your Hebrew name?
Oh, Vega.
Feigal.
Feiga,
Feiga,
yeah.
mi beit, mom and dad.
Sophie and Harry Heschel.
Herschel v'Sophie, Nala Amod. Keren, mi beit Herschel v'Chaya Ahuva, לעלייה השנית.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amin. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. ויקם את החצר סביב למשכן ולמזבח, וייתן את מסך שער החצר וכל ויכל משה את הממלכה, ויכס ענן את אוהל מועד, וכבוד אדוני מלא את המשכן, ולא יכל משה לבוא את אוהל מועד, כי שכן עליו ענן, וכבוד אדוני מלא את המשכן.
יישר כוח.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam ratotanu.
Nata b'tochenu.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher kochachen, yesher koach, yesher kochech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren.
And for my third and final aliyah, I will be calling you, Brett, and I'm going to ask that Corinne accompany you, even though I cannot call her. Before I do, a moment for Ami Shaberach, a moment for us to focus on those who are in need of our prayers this morning. Are you doing the Mishnah? Do you want me to do the Mishnah?
No, I can do it. Just hold.
I got it. And as Alexandra offers a Misha Berach with our Torah present, with our hearts present, she will pause and I will add names from our congregation, then look to you for additional names of people who need healing of body and of spirit.
משברך אבותינו ואמותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את החולים.
Hadal Belly, Amelia Byers, Audrey Cohn, Connie Creedon Muller, Phyllis Fillmore, Ellie Edovitz, Lou Klein, Mary Jane Klein, Ellen Leifer, Ken Lyjak, Jack Lyons, David Mallon, Jen Meyerson, Susan Otsenis, Merle Perlmutter, Claude Schleuderer, Sloan Shortley, Kahana Skolnick, Lynn Spiro, Jenny Sumber, Tali Tolman, Mineo, Ben Wilder, Sue Worthman, Lauren Petties.
הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם ולרפאותם ולהחזיקם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתבח עליו בזמן קריב ונאמר אמן.
Na la'amod. Fred, what's your Hebrew name?
Sartova.
Sarah Tova mi beit, mom and dad.
Samaratza? Samaratza?
Samaratzav
Rovin?
Reuven. La aliyah shlishit la maftir.
Baruch hu Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvhe alot he'anan me'al hamishkan yis'u b'nei Yisrael b'chol mas'ehem v'imlo ye'aleh he'anan below Yisu ad yom he'aloto ki anan Adonai al hamishkan yomam v'ish Tehiyah laila bo le'einecho beit Yisrael b'chol mas'ehem.
Chazak, chazak,
v'nitchazek,
v'nitchazek, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, v'nitchazek. Be strong, and you'll be strengthened, and you'll be strengthened. Be strong, and you'll be strengthened, and you'll be strengthened. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, v'nitchazek, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, v'nitchazek.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher kochech, yesher kochechem. I'm going to ask Corinne and Abigail to come forward for Hagba and Glila. Na la'amod, Hagba v'Glila. You have to be over there to help. Of course, as I lift up the Torah, you already knew where we were, the end of Exodus. But if you didn't know, you paid attention that we sang that beautiful formula first with the wrong melody and then with the right melody. And so you knew we ended a book. The other thing, as I lift it up, you're going to see the space that happens only 4 times in the Torah. And that is a space of about 5 lines when we finish one book. Check this out, Abigail. When we finish one book, that's the book of Shemot, and we begin the next book, that's the book of Leviticus. That's the only time there's a big space like that. Abigail, do you see it? All right.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe.
That to her.
Torah, 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 Torah. Sorry, Krin Lanu Moshe. Torah. Thank you.
You please hold on.
Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Ki mitzion tehi tehi Torah udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion tehi tehi Torah udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion tehi Torah udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion titzi Torah udvar Adonai Yerushalayim. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai 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 lai 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 lai, yai lai yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai yai lai lai.
$374. Yahalalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado.
Odo alaretz b'shamayim, vayarem kerem li'amo, tehila lecho. Chasidav livnei Yisrael am kirovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Lekach tov natati lachem torati, al ta'azovu.
It's Chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomchecha mehushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva. Chadish, Chadish Yameinu, Chadish Yameinu Kekedem. Yasher Koach, great job.
Please be seated, and the Haftarah will be delivered by Sheldon. Turn in your red Chumash to page 729. It is 1 Kings 8, 6 through 20. Sheldon will begin, of course, with the blessings and then continue with the Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim, v'ratzah b'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher b'torah, u'b'Moshe avdo, u'b'Yisrael amo, u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet. Mayavihu hakohanim et Aron brit Adonai el mekomo el David habayit el kodesh hakodashim el tachat kanfei hachruvim. כי הקרבים פורשים כנפיים אל מקום הארון, ויעסוקו הקרובים על הארון ועל בדיו מלמעלה. ויעריכו הבדים ויראו ראשי הבדים מן הקודש על פני הדביר, ולא ידעו החוצה, ויהיו שם עד היום הזה. אין בארון רק שני לוחות האבנים אשר הניח שם משה בחורב, אשר כרת אדוני עם בני ישראל בצאתם מארץ מצרים. ויהי בצאת הכהנים מן הקודש בהענן מלא את בית אדוני, ולא יכלו הכהנים לעמוד לשרת מפני הענן, כי מלא כבוד אדוני את בית אדוני. אז אמר שלמה, אדוני אמר לשכון בערפל, בנו בניתי בית זבול לך, מכון לשבטך עולמים. ויסב המלך את פניו, ויברך את כל קהל אדוני ישראל, וכל קהל ישראל עומד. ויאמר ברוך אדוני אלוהי ישראל, אשר דיבר בפיו את דוד אבי, ובידו מילי לאמור, מן היום אשר הוצאתי את עמי את ישראל ממצרים, לא בחרתי בעיר מכל שבטי ישראל לבנות בית להיות שמי שם. ואבחר בדוד להיות על עמי ישראל, ויהי עם לבב דוד אבי לבנות בית לשם אדוני אלוהי ישראל. ויאמר אדוני אל דוד אבי, יען אשר היה עם לבבך לבנות בית לשמי, והיטיבות והיה עם לבבך. רק אתה לא תבנה הבית, כי אם בנך הוצא מחלציך, הוא יבנה הבית לשמי. ויקם אדוני את דברו אשר דיבר, ואקום תחת דוד אבי, ואשב על כיסא ישראל, אשר דיבר אדוני באבני הבית לשם אדוני Elohei Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'yoseh, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך וברוך שמו
עד איש השבת.
אמן. יישר כוח.
So much. What a treat. What a treat. It is fun. It is so much fun.
Thank you.
One of the most beautiful commentaries on this closing portion of Vayakel and Pikudei is a recognition that there are complementary creation stories. In Genesis, it is the Divine One who is creating 6 days and on the seventh resting. And at the end of Exodus, it is the human creation. It is the community creation of sacredness. And that is symbolized through the creation of the Mishkan. Last night I had the privilege of challenging us as a community to consider our Mishkan, the sacred vessel that we each create in how we meet one another, our most intimate relationships, our familial relationships, our community relationships, our work, even and perhaps especially the sacredness of this place. What does it mean to be responsible as human beings, as Jews, to create holiness in how we live? That's what the Haftorah is speaking about, right? The creation for Solomon of something that we are making that will drive us, will lift us, will help us to live sacredness in our lives. And you know, we too frequently get caught up in people doing confessional. A lot of times to me, sometimes to one another. Oh, I'm not a practicing Jew. Oh, I practice, but I don't believe. Everyone's got where they are with that. That's okay. Here's what doesn't change. Our responsibility to forge sacredness in how we inhabit this earth. That discussion we have radically failed at in this world, in this country, and in this synagogue. So that's the challenge. Today, that was my sermon last night. I'm not going to redo my sermon last night because I want you to know it's worth it coming Friday and Saturday. I'm not going to redo it because this is my study group. Today, be ready. We're going to bite our fingernails on some texts. So I want you to stay with me with this. Let me just find my correct notes. I have pulled out my incorrect, well, no, actually I've got them. Okay, so as soon as I say a chapter and a verse, you guys are going to say to me where you find it. So go to 36:1. Go to 36:1. And I'm waiting for someone to call out a page. 36 is Lamed Vav, 1 is Aleph. 670, Alex? Great. And here we have this phrase that is repeated, as I shared last night, 7 times. Ve'asa Bitzalel, and Bitzalel carried out, made, ve'ahaliav, and ohaliav, v'chol ish chacham lev, and every person who was chacham lev, who was wise-hearted, Asher natan Adonai chokhma utvuna behema ladat velasot et kol melechet avodah hakodesh l'chol asher tziva Adonai. Listen carefully to this word. Every wise-hearted person whom God had endowed wisdom and insight to know, to do all the work for the labor of the sanctuary, everything that God had commanded. The term that's used here is chacham lev. You know the word chacham, and I just say this to you so you remember what you know from the 4 children, right? One of the 4 children is the chacham. You know it from your Yiddish, chokhmah, right? Wisdom, wise, chacham, wise. And now we have this term in the Bible that is among my favorite. This creation of sacredness around the Mishkan is going to be presented by, gifted by individuals that are chacham lev, wise-hearted. So, what do you have to say about this bitui, this term, wise-hearted? When we think, yes, Marilyn. You think it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. Alex, would you get 2 of those black things? Oh, you have 1. We'll take 1. Marilyn says, I think it's beautiful. Give me one more sentence. Why is it beautiful, Marilyn? It's not only the head, it's the heart. Marilyn says, so it's the whole person involved. Boom. When we think usually of wisdom, we go Kepala, right? Oh.
The intellect and the emotion together.
Okay, wait. Now, I want to come right to this. So, but first, Marilyn says, I have to go back and say what you guys didn't say because you're too smart. Wow, that's unusual. Marilyn says it's beautiful. She's already on a deeper level. It's unusual. Don't I think wisdom here? Marilyn says, it's beautiful. A wise heart. It takes the whole person. Benji adds, wait, now say it.
Just a combination of the intellect and
The combination of the intellect and
the emotion.
the emotion, the wise heart is a combination of the intellect and emotion. Alexandra.
And for me in my life, these are 2 that I'm always trying to balance and sometimes have challenge balancing my head and my heart. And so to have them, a person with both, seems very full and whole.
Alex reminds us that she and each of us are frequently working to balance what we know or our intellect and our heart. That's a big deal. So Alex is
sort of just set in this place of amazement. Ah, the gifts that we bring to the Mishkan, they are that combination of the intellect and the emotion. That's powerful. Dave?
I was thinking, you add the word, the depth of wisdom.
The depth of wisdom, Dave adds. It's not a lot of us are wise, but what do you do with it? The depth of wisdom. When wisdom goes to a deeper place, and what is that deeper place here? The intellect of the soul. Good, David, thank you. That deeper place is holiness. I'm using that word. I like that word. I spent a lot of my days and weeks worrying about that word. We don't worry about it or talk about it or examine it or challenge ourselves. We're very happy when we get a high grade, right? We want high grades. Oh, I got a good performance review. Oh, I got a raise in my salary. Well, I didn't, but imagine that I did. But we're all very focused on what the Talmud calls mammon. Mamun is like our wealth of, oh, I got the A, oh, I got the raise, oh, I succeeded. And here, the intellect of the soul, or the combination of the two, I'm going to call holiness. The knowing heart. And I'm going to stay with holiness for a moment. What makes, if you want to say the knowing heart, or if I'm going to say holiness, how does that change than mere emotion or mere intellect? How does that manifest in the world?
To achieve it, because you take your rationality and your
You're calling, you said creativity?
no intuitive.
Intuitive, in being intuitive.
Exactly, because it's a way for the holy to manifest.
So first Rita said to be intuitive, and then Rita said it's the way for the holiness to manifest. And I actually really believe this. We can do a million things. We can build skyscrapers. We can build homes on the precipice of a mountain overlooking the sea. The question is going to be, where is the manifestation of God? What is the difference between building that is about us and building that is about the sacred? In this portion and in the previous portions, the gifts, the truma that was offered to create the Mishkan required the two things. It required the knowing heart, as David said, the intellect of the heart, the combination, the balance of knowing and knowing. Lauren.
It's almost like you're talking about connection, because it's making the connection between the head and the heart, and making the connection between the physical and the non-physical.
Lauren says it's almost about connection between the head and the heart and the physical and the not physical. And I'm going to say, and I'm pushing this because I think it's true, when the connection happens, Lauren, then our words and our deeds and our actions in the world are connected. From the whole, the ordinary, to the kadosh. That's the purpose of Shabbat. For me to plug into what's holy, because undoubtedly, during the week, I have to run to keep up. And I do a better job. I do not as good a job. I'm running to keep up, but I get to stop now to just let the kadosh wash over me, to inspire the connection. But now the next step, Lauren, to inspire the connection so that my choices, actions, deeds, life reflects the holy. To elevate, Lauren's saying, to elevate from the ordinary, from the doing, which may look perfect, but it may be absent holiness. And I'm going to say, if you're about to do something I used to say this to my kids, and now I'm going to say it to us differently. My kids would say, but what if I want to do this and I want to do that? I would say to them, if I were standing there with you, they're going to go off to another country by themselves, not when they were little. Now they do whatever they want. If I was standing there with you, would it be okay for you to do? So now I'm going to say, and if the answer is no, then don't do it when I'm not standing there. If I could stop at that moment and say, I am aware that the divine is here with me right now. Should I do this? If the answer is no, don't do it. It's the same kind of question, challenge. Yes, David.
My friend came out with a phrase that might be appropriate to this. He calls it awakened knowing.
My friend came out with a phrase that might be helpful here, awakened knowing. Thank you, David. That is very beautiful. So, Or HaChaim stresses that the motivation of the donor, it's not just what you give, but the netiv libo, the generosity, the knowing heart, is primary, not the gift. When you read this, Dave, and you can tell this to Evie, all that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is how you bring that stuff. God doesn't need our gifts, Or HaChaim continues. But there is an, and here, Lauren, you must have been reading Or HaChaim, we recognize again that when there is that knowing of our own hearts and I bring the gift, it's not for God, I'm changed. I'm elevated. I am transformed in the act of giving. Okay, this is very cool. Go to 34:22. 34:22. Did I mean to say, I don't think I meant to say 30. Maybe I did, but I'll do it and then I'll bring it. I'm sorry I'm doing this. I don't know why I went back, but okay, I'm pretty sure I made a mistake. Hold on. I think 35:22. Try that. Yeah, it was 35. I was like, why am I taking you back to last week's portion? I meant 35:22. This is very cool. Listen to this. 669. Vayavo'u, and they brought ha'anashim al hanashim. Well, listen here, guys. Anashim means men, or it means people. Here I know it means men, because right afterwards I hear nashim, which are women. Oh, this is cool. The women are getting spoken about. Vayavo'u, and they will bring ha'anashim, the men, al hanashim. Al means on. Okay, wait a minute. And those men will, in Hebrew, the men will come with the women, on the women. The men will arrive, the men will come, the men will bring on the women. Ramban says, oh, that term al, well, let me ask you, what do you think that means, on the women? Who's primary here? The men or the women? The women are primary. The women are primary. The men are secondary, okay? And this beautiful piece reminding us that this knowing heart, this truma, this generosity of spirit is orchestrated and led by the women. And the men, in this case, are identified on the women's coattails. Ramban says al on. This is quite very beautiful. As if the men are just accessories. Is that the right word? Accessories. Accessories to the women. Like they're bringing their jewelry and they're bringing their men. They're bringing them to do it. I think it's interesting. Where do you think this comes from? Well, the men already used up their jewels. They built the golden calf. The women refused to participate in it. They have it for this purpose. There is a question here about the integration. There is feminist theology that says men work in a hierarchy and women work in a kind of networking. The sense of the knowing heart, the intuition. But it is sort of interesting that the Torah is aware of it. It's about 15 years ago, there was a lot of discussion, like, where are all the men in the synagogue? Women have taken over, because when I went to rabbinical school, there was mostly men and a few women. Now there are more women in rabbinical school than men, right? Actually, now in the progressive communities, there are more LGBTQIA individuals than there are people who identify as male or female. I think that all of this is reaching for the knowing heart. Yes, this is important. But actually, this knowing heart is what's going to keep us alive. It's what's going to enable us to build a future. It's been said a few times, and last time it was said was by Cheney. What's her name? Liz Cheney. She said, you know, the men are running the world. How's that going, guys? Not as well as we would hope at this point. I just want it on record that I just quoted a Republican. It's a good thing. So Ramban and Or HaChaim remind us that the jewelry that was used for creating the golden calf is contrasted here from the jewelry that is used to create the Mishkan. That's not a male or a female message. This is a message that swings us back to what I started us with. What do you do with your resources, right? You can have the most beautiful synagogue in the world. What are you doing in it, right? You can have the most money in the world. What are you doing with it? That's the focus. It's not a gender thing here. It's a value of orienting ourselves to remember that this sacred work requires that knowing and intention. 34:29, and this is very beautiful. Stay with me here. 34. No, I keep doing that. 35:29. Don't go backwards. 35:29. Kol ish v'isha. Now, Corinne, this doesn't sound like a big deal to you, but it is a big deal because we're able in Hebrew just to say kol ish, and then I say, Lauren, take a deep breath, because when I say kol ish, I mean every human being. And I use that kind of terminology. It says every man, and I'm like, Melanie, it means every human being. We have a role there, Carolyn. Don't worry, Karen. We're there. Ish, anashim, man, men is really a person and people. And it's true. And then suddenly the Torah surprises us and says, I'm not going to leave it to your imagination to imagine that the women are part of this or that any gender matters. And I'm going to say, V'chol ish V'isha. Every single person is part of this. And that one little word, like we like to say, isn't necessary in Hebrew. I can say kol ish. I know that it means everybody. But it says it because everybody has a place. I'm gonna digress for a minute and explain something that I sometimes don't explain. I just do it. In our prayer book, that's already a few years old, it says brothers and sisters. It says other things like it's quite gender sensitive, and then it's not, because things keep changing. You'll notice that I don't read brothers and sisters, I read friends. Even though it says brothers and sisters, and we have brothers and we have sisters, but when we say mo de ani, and we have the choice of mo da ani, that's wonderful, male and female. But guess what? Not everybody identifies with mo de or mo da. So I've started adding o de, I, or modim for individuals that identify as they, them, so that there's place. The next prayer book that comes out, I'm sure will do that. I won't be part of it. But don't be thrown when I change the English. I'm not changing the Hebrew because I first want you to be comfortable with the Hebrew. And I don't want someone to come home to synagogue and feel like they don't belong there. But you're comfortable enough with English that if it says brothers and sisters and I say friends, you can do that. V'chol ish v'isha, the Torah's doing it. To the best of its ability, thousands of years ago, recognizing that we all, regardless of gender, inclusive of gender, have a place at the table in the sacred creation of where the divine manifests. If that's true, which I know it is, then that knowing heart of ours needs to act accordingly with how we live. We can't say that from the Torah and then be lopsided in policies of recognizing every individual for who they are in our society.
Can I ask one thing?
You can.
No, because I like, there is a drag queen in Brazil that she's an intellectual, she's fantastic. She has a podcast that I like because she talks about politics. And it's very funny because she's like a drag queen, but she's super intelligent and smart. And she was telling about something that I didn't know, that the indigenous tribe in all of America, South America, Latin America, they are non-binary tribes, in the sense that the tribes were accepting. They had like the men, the women, and they had some people that were between those definitions of a gender, and they had a hole in the tribes, you know, a different role in the tribe. And but this started to change when the Catholic Church came and started to teach them to try to Christianize.
Right.
Right? But until what I know historically, the connection between Christianism and the Judaism by the laws and the Torah, so it seems that historically saying the Judaism, it seems that they don't accept that much well the idea of a non-binary.
Okay, so thank you.
You guys are changing, like the most progressive
Okay.
are changing, but how it works, you know, in the sense that you have a law, you have some commandments that say the men are not supposed to use clothes of women.
I hear you. So let me
So
answer.
how
Let me answer. Let me just correct one thing that you said when you spoke about this drag queen. You said she's a drag queen, but she's intellectual. And I want to say she's a drag queen and she's an intellectual, because there's nothing to say that a drag...
Absolutely.
I know you agree with me.
It was a big mistake.
It's not a big mistake. It's a little mistake.
I didn't want to do...
I'm not saying this to correct you. I'm not saying it to correct you. I'm saying it because when it's said here, I need to hold the line that you did beautifully. So that you, no. Let me start in the place that I want to start. It is possible and even probable that the writers of the Constitution and the writers of the Torah couldn't possibly imagine some of the subjects that we understand, and there can be ways that things are written that I just will not follow. Sacrifices. It's written in blood and black, blood and white. It is written about sacrifices. Now, do me 1,000 times, read me Torah. I'm not offering a sacrifice. That's not happening. And I hope you're not. There are times where we digress from the Torah. But in this case, I love your question. And I'm going to come back at you and say, the reason the law said men should not dress in women's clothes and women should not dress in men's clothes was because we were not one binary expression. It was because there were men, I don't know that I should use this anachronistically, but there were drag queens in the Torah. There were men who dressed in women's clothes, and the rabbis were like, we need to keep order. Did God say that? Or did the ones who were trying to keep order say that? A lot of times when laws come, they come because something's happening. A man should not lie with another man the way he lies with a woman. That's what's written in Leviticus. Well, that tells you that homosexuality existed when the Torah was written. But let me go one farther, and we've studied this together, but I love this section. Wait, give me 1 second, let me try and answer. Our amazing Rebecca is described in the Torah as a na'ar, nun ayin resh. A maiden is spelled nun ayin resh hey, na'ara. Rebecca, and it's not once, it's constantly. She's described as a na'ar. We read it in the Torah. We read na'ara. We should start reading na'ar here in this congregation when we get to that section. She's described as a na'ar, nun ayin resh. The hey wasn't forgotten. It doesn't exist every time that she's described. We can only ask the question, what does it mean? In this congregation, we've said, oh, she was a strong person. She was a person who knew her will. She did what she wanted to do. That's a beautiful explanation. I'm going to tell you something, Corinne. My father's the best, right? And he had a bunch of daughters and a bunch of sons. And he would always say to his girls, I was one of them, you can do anything that your brothers can do. The problem is, that is inherently problematic. That he needs to tell me that I can do anything my brothers can do was his lacunae. Even today, and I know he's not watching, so it's easy for me to say this. If he's watching, call me right afterwards, Dad, and we'll talk about this. You can do anything in the world, Corinne, as you are you. It's not that Corinne has to try to be, or I have to impress upon Corinne that she could do what a boy can do. It is very possible that Rebecca was actually not just a strong-willed young maiden that the Torah called a na'ar, to say she could do anything like a na'ar, like a young male teenager. Maybe, I don't know this, but there's no reason why it couldn't be that Rebecca was non-binary, or Rebecca was a trans person. I can give you as much a justification for that as I can for saying she's written as a na'ar, to show us that as a female, she took the same charge of her life as a male would. What I can tell you is ultimately Catholicism comes from Judaism, but goes in its own direction. Judaism, and I remind you this, and so this is a moment, has a commitment to holding on to what has always been and always always transforming, always growing, always evolving. I see you, Palu, meaning I have to learn how to hold these two things. I'm not a Catholic, I'm a Jew. So being a Jew, I have a responsibility, Corinne, to know what happened before, but and to hold on to it, but I have an equal responsibility to continue to evolve with it, even if it means changing something from its original meaning. No one who wrote the Constitution could imagine an AR-15. Don't quote the Constitution for me to deal with AR-15s. Just don't. It won't work. Palu. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. In the Talmud, we do have non-binary individuals. I'm just not hearing. We have more than male and female, but we also have non-binary individuals described in the Talmud. And where does it come from, Palu? They're trying to explain what they see in the Torah, right? So yes, we have a tradition of that. That is the oral law. That is the oral tradition. I know your hand was up. And then...
there is a book, it's called Torah. It's called Torah Queries. And it does deal with exactly what you're talking about.
So David is recommending a book that David has spoken to us about before called Torah Queries, the double entendre, and David recommends it. Author?
It's written by each chapter by different.
So we don't know who the editor is, but you'll find it, Torah Queries.
Also, we were talking about, and I did that to my daughter, I took them to the dog work and everything. So I taught them independence and strength and respect.
But you understand that I was giving my father a hard time. You understood that?
I have daughters, I understand.
No, I don't know if you understood, but okay, we're going to leave that.
Also, black parents have to talk to their children differently than we do to our children. That's number one. Number two, sometimes we'll mention where ribbons pulled and so forth. Sometimes tradition overshadows a halacha, as in the case with the Scottish people with their gifts. It's their tradition to do it, give you a skirt that can wear it, because their tradition supersedes the law.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Yes, but just one more thing.
yeah.
Sorry for that. Is the Talmud a book who is in the process of a transition still? Like it's
Yes,
transformation in the sense that the laws are always open for
Laws aren't in the Talmud.
new interpretation.
Yes. The Talmud is codified,
Right.
but it is part of oral law. Oral law is bigger than the Talmud. It's Talmud, it's Mishnah, it's Gemara, it's Kabbalah, and it is forever evolving. The part of the Talmud is fixed, but the oral law is still evolving. It has to still evolve. When we stop evolving, we're no longer following our responsibility. Go with me to, this is nice, 3522. 3522. And watch this. Oh, my goodness. I didn't mean to say that again. I'm getting. No, I'm sorry, 3527. I'm having a problem this morning. There we go. 3527, the page. V'hansi'im heviu et avnei hashoham. That's it. V'hansi'im, 27, the leaders. Nasi. Nasi Beit Israel is the president. Lahasi means the one who's supposed to lift us up. Nasi. Okay. I'm sorry, I just lost it again. Han vehan si'im, and the leaders brought the shoham stones, avnei shoham, the shoham stones, for setting the ephod. Look at the first word, han si'im. Does anyone know enough Hebrew to recognize something that's going on there? Nasi, nisi'im. Nasi, nisi'im. That's actually how we say it in Hebrew. What's missing in this word, v'hansi'im? 2 yuds. 2 yuds. We would spell nasi anywhere else in the Bible. Nun, yud, sin, yud. Nasi, aleph, yud, mem. We'd have 2 yuds. When you put 2 yuds next to each other, what do they make? Adonai, the Adonai, God. In this case, I knew it was the leaders. I translated it correctly. But notice that the spelling occurs here without the 2 yuds. Why? What does this mean? Why are the 2 yuds missing? What are your thoughts? Why are the two yuds missing from the leaders, the word that describes the leaders?
They're disconnected from the source.
They are what from the source? They're disconnected from the source. The source is absent from their leadership at this moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? What's going on? There's a lot of tension here that goes back and forth. Numbers Rabbah in the Talmud 12 says that the leaders came forward and said, let the nation bring what they will, and we will fill in whatever they don't do. What's the problem with that? They're leading from where? Behind. Oh, go! Create sacred spaces. Whatever you want, right? You do it, and whatever you don't do, we'll do. Leaders are supposed to lead from the front. Leaders are supposed to be willing to be out in front and say, no, yeah, this feels hard. Well, we have to do it anyway. There's this beautiful tension in this whole double portion. On one hand, sacredness gets created by the person, now you see where we're coming back together, whose heart is wise. And don't think that it is just me or Alexandra or the board that has to create this sacredness here. You're responsible for it, and you're responsible for it, and you're responsible for it. If there's going to be sacredness, you have a major role, a primary role. Women have a primary role. But that's different. That's the beautiful part. And leaders have a primary role. And leaders don't get to hang back and say, do what you want to do, and we'll follow. Do what you want to do, and we'll make up what you didn't do. Leaders, at minimum, need to be with, and if not, should be in front. It's a big responsibility. Is your hand up?
People
So Sheldon, you see value, if this is, I understand this. First of all, that brings me back to my sermon last night about the creation, right? We're involved in the creation, but I think I hear you going farther and saying there's something powerful that they're not told what to do, because when they're not told what to do, then they get to bring their unique gifts, and suddenly the depth of the fabric is that much more beautiful, that there is a power of tzimtzum. When you let the people do their part, then we go even deeper. We don't just leaders should not just do for us, but leave the room for the creativity, for the roles, for the responsibility, for the direction of the lay people. Am I hearing you? And I love that. And leaders still belong there. I don't get to abandon the ship. Listen, I can do the Haftorah every week. I don't have to, I can sight read it, right? It's more beautiful when you do it. But I'm here. That's the connection. Not that you shouldn't do it, but that I'm here. I'm here with you. In this moment, you're leading. And then in another moment, I'm leading. In another moment, you're leading, but I'm here.
I'm here when you say.
I'm present.
Right.
I am part of the process. It's not, there's this is pretty amazing. I follow congregations in Vermont very closely because since I came back to the United States, I always thought to myself, I'm going to have a congregation in Vermont. It didn't happen, it won't happen. But I follow them. There's this one congregation, I'm not going to give you specifics, that decided that it would be totally lay run. It's a great idea. They also decided, I love this, that there were not going to be a dues structure. They were going to just say to everybody, and they did it for 2 years. They were going to say to everybody, Carolyn, you decide how much you can bring this year. Whatever you bring, everyone brings what they can bring. And I'm like, yes, I want Emmanuel to do that. 2 years later, they changed the dues structure. And 2 years later, they're looking for a rabbi. So why am I saying that? That doesn't make me happy. I mean, I don't know what it makes me. It doesn't make me happy because I actually believe what Sheldon said. It's better when you guys do it. It's better when each of you step up and say, this is what I want to do. It's better when there is a membership suggestion, and then when you are able, you give twice or 3 times that, not because someone asked you to or someone told you to, but because you're responsible for creating sacred space. It's wonderful. It should be that I never read Torah or Haftorah because all of you guys want to. But I belong there to lead with you. Sometimes I'm in front, sometimes I'm next to you. Behind? I don't know. I mean, that's what they did, and it gave an opportunity. It's an act of tzimtzum, if you will. It's also problematic.
Rabbi,
Yes.
one thing. I'm feeling like the end of this book, I think it's significant that there's a timeline that God isn't telling the people what to do at this point. God is trusting and hoping almost that the people will make that choice from their hearts and their minds, that they want to.
There's an evolution? Is that what you mean by timeline?
Feeling that
Like we've
at the end of
changed.
the book, the people have been able to integrate that connection to God so that they will provide that gift.
In Hebrew, we say, uf gozal. Fledgling, fly, go do your thing. Out of the nest you go. I want to bring us for one last thing. 38:21. Go to 38:21 where we started the double portion. And these just are these very, Vayakel Moshe kol adat b'nei Yisrael. No, I didn't mean to say that. I'm Pikudei. Sorry. I need to get my numbers straight today. Eile. These are Pikudei HaMishkan, Mishkan HaEdut. Eile pikudei hamishkan, mishkan ha'edut.
What?
So can you say the page louder so everyone hears it, Alex?
Can you remind me where you are?
681.
3821.
681.
681.
Thank you.
Eile, these are pikudei, the reckonings. Hamishkan, mishkan ha'edut. And what do you notice in these 5 words? Eile pikudei hamishkan, mishkan ha'edut. You see that Mishkan is written twice. Mishkan, which means tabernacle, is written twice. So we stop and we say, what is going on? What's going on here? First, let's just start with Eile, right? Eile means these are. And we're back to where I was guiding you. These are pikudei. These are the reckonings. What you do counts. In Bamidbar Rabbah, there's a discussion of things that have value and things that have value. These are, pay attention, these are the things that have value with a big V. It's the question we have to ask ourselves. What are the things that you have that have value, and what are the things that you have that have value with a large V? These are the things with value, not monetary. None of this, Lauren, Sheldon, none of this was about the actual weaving. It was all about the intention. These are the reckonings. This is what has value, and what Bamidbar Rabbi says, for God. Honestly, that I wore this dress today has no value for God. But maybe if I wear this dress and then it inspires me to act a certain way, maybe if I put on this talit and it elevates me to bring the wisdom of my heart, then it has value. This is just a thing. The things that brought to the Mishkan, they were with the big V, not because of how they looked, and not so much because who wove them, but how they wove them. With the generosity of heart, with the intuitive heart, with the giving heart, with the wise heart. Ha-mishkan, mishkan. Ha-mishkan, mishkan. Ramban actually makes room for both. There is the Mishkan, which is all the stuff. And then there's the Mishkan, it's the same place, but the Mishkan that actually makes room for God. We do need the stuff. We need the building so that Corinne and Abigail can go to Hebrew school, Jewish learning adventure, so that Corinne can be mitzvah, so that Corinne can come in and find her congregation and find her peers. We need the place. That's the Mishkan, but the Mishkan is not the 4 walls. The Mishkan is what happens in the 4 walls. That's the double Mishkan on one hand. On one hand, the place, and then the intention. Ibn Ezra takes it farther, or actually not Ibn Ezra. Rav Bachya says, oh, Mishkan and Mishkan. There's the Mishkan on earth, And there's the Mishkan that's beyond us. That the Mishkan that we see, that we build, that we dwell in, I think, Lauren, you said connects us to the Mishkan. My hands are not big enough. The Mishkan that's beyond us. We step in this place, Corinne, only to get to something bigger. That's the double Mishkan. And then let's just ask you, Rashi says, Mishkan and Mishkan? Think about Rashi. He doesn't want to do Rav Bachya. That's the first and the second temple, says Rashi. I'm sorry, I don't. It's okay. It's not my thing, but I just thought I would tell you that. Anyway, I want to just close with this word, Mishkan ha'edut. What is edut? Aid. Witness. Edut is the witnessing. Mishkan ha'edut brings us back to where we started. It is how we show up. A Jewish act is compelling because there are two witnesses. A marriage happens because there are two witnesses. A minyan happens. A prayer happens because of your heart. Communal prayer happens because we are witness to one another. The Mishkan is created because of our being present. So, that's it for today. So taking a moment for me to share with you a few announcements. Corinne and Abigail, maybe you have heard there is no JLA tomorrow. And I thought there was going to be a run. All the JLA families would be here today because you're not coming tomorrow. And I was right, 2 of them are. But next week is Passover Wanderings, also open house. If you know anyone who you would like to bring, anyone in the congregation who knows someone who should learn about our school, reach out to Minahel Yonatan. Next week, my Tuesday morning meditation and Torah study will be led by Jack. Wednesday's Trove class will be led by Alexandra. My other classes are not happening next week as I will be away. Sister's Annual Women's Seder is virtual on Sunday, March 26th at 5 p.m. And it's titled Women Storytellers Are the Seeds of Change and Continuity. I look forward to sharing that with the women of the community. Our second night Seder is Thursday, April 6th at 4:45. Reservations are required and are now being taken. It is limited reservations this year to be protective about COVID. Please make your reservation early, now, Sunday and Monday. Call and leave a message. And Tuesday, don't wait, because once it fills, then we're closing reservations. Yizkor service. For those who are saying Yizkor during Pesach, we do Yizkor a little bit differently. We do Yizkor on the Friday during the Chag, during the Moed, April 7th at 5:30, a half an hour before Kabbalat Shabbat, to make it most available for the most people to say Yizkor. Musicians meet up Monday, April 10th at 6 p.m. Bring your voice and your instruments to participate together with our Chazanit, Alexandra, and others and company. Yom HaShoah. We will be observing it with Federation on Yom HaShoah and on the Sunday before, April 16th at 7 p.m., appropriate for young teens and parents. A discussion about Yom HaShoah led by Professor Chris McDaniel Michio. on why this historical moment is a living marker for all, including here in America and around the globe, a connection between the Holocaust and how we live today, specifically with the understanding of growing anti-Semitism. Sisterhood's virtual wine tasting on Tuesday, April 18th at 6:30, I'm sure will be fabulous. For this and all of our other events, please check the website. Standing for the Aleinu, 587. It's right over there. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגהור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 591 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. Please remain standing as we hold loved ones who died in the last week. David Blanchard, remembered by Judy and Lori Blanchard, and all of the names of loved ones from our community who we are observing Shloshim together with you. You are observing Shloshim and we are holding you. So too, I'm going to ask that these people be added to our hearts. Austin Avery, Pauline Simon's partner. Alfred Brown, Carolyn Cernitsky's father. Victoria Margaret Day, Rebecca Rothstein's mother. Machnia Ewig, Barbara Ronder remembers lovingly. Sue Harrington, Jerry Harrington's mother. Neil Hirsch, Stephen Hirsch's brother. Beverly Jacobson, Henry Klein. Myrna Levine, Judy Tallerman's mother. Ruth Levy, Tracy Pollock's grandmother. Rose Nadan, Marshall Nadan's mother. Minnie Penzel, Tilly Stern, Max and Viola Wachtel, Pauline Simon's father and mother. Fritz Weintraub, Ida Werbolowski, Zichronam Livracha. Holding those loved ones together with the martyrs of our people who left no one to say Kaddish, and the people of every race and nation who dedicated their lives to living a life of a sacred vessel, pursuing, holding, and furthering sacredness in our midst. We affirm 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. 626, Ein Keloheinu, 626. Abigail, come on forward. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael
et ha-Shabbat, lahasot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotem berit olam.
Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lahasot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotem berit olam.
Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat
vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Sabri, Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Borei
pori hagafen. Amen.
Chala Abigail, pick up the plate. Turn around so everyone can see it. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Jack knows where the gloves are. For some reason, I can't find them. So I have another pair of gloves. They're sanitary gloves also. They're just actually honestly more uncomfortable and more expensive. B'tei avon. You know what? You can put it down, and I will break onto it. Thank you so much for your help, Gabai. I appreciate it. You want to take a piece for you and Mom? Yeah. Take both, baby, because now you touched them. Bring it to Mom. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here. I just love when you're here on Saturday mornings. It's such a treat. Well, you come now. Hi, Samara. So good to see you. How are you? You're feeling good? Good. It's great to have you here. Great. I'm pretty sure I have. By whom? Maybe I didn't actually. Did you forget someone today? I don't think I did. I'll do it. I'll do it, sweetie. Put it down, Fonda. Thank you. Did you forget someone today?
Starts with a D, right?
Yeah. Where is he? Yeah. Is your mother-in-law okay?
Because I memorized Jane phone, I memorized all the book that I have to say fondo.
I know what you're What did your mom have? We should be. Irregular heartbeat.
Maybe it's nothing serious. Maybe.
Can I just say real quick? No, she had a pacemaker. She had something called bradycardia. She's like, she's talking to me about. So she had that put in a couple of years ago.
Hi, David.
So it's just,
During the pandemic.
it's kind of
And now all of a
interesting.
sudden there's a couple of people on the monitor.
The springtime is kind of like a
Cost
kind of in a way, and so it's kind of cool to be at the same time. But it's like prayer.
They said, well, they're not completely sure, so it's not a doctor. Thinks that he's been.
Yeah, like my literature class, we literally just like studied prayer and studied some of the things that like the study analyze this seek patterns and
So she's been trying to read about
and
this
then like
idea
thinking
about
about
losing
eating
weight,
which is
eating healthy, and maybe if
it
only.
was a little bit scary at first, but I like it. I started
Yeah, so an ablation. It's called an ablation. An ablation.
the liturgy class also kind of students and pastoral.
Yeah, I think that you have to ask your doctor. And there's no, and ablation is very, very good because then you don't more. You can't take the chance. Losing weight and being healthy is great. You do it in addition. That's sometimes. Because well, heart attacks don't give you a second chance.
Because the smoothing thing with the ablation,
An ablation.
you might actually help reduce the cholesterol.
It does. If it works, then I just had an ablation. The only thing is that it may not work. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so, but it's really, yeah, and it is really interesting. Yeah, I would not. I think we are so good at the heart these days,
No, it's amazing. We're
and there's no. The reality is a lot of people, men, they're bound, but also women just used to die because we had no second chances. I consider the ablation like preventative medicine. I don't see this as, any procedure is potentially dangerous. It's not even totally registered on. The big complication they say about ablation is it may not work. Well, that's what you want to avoid.
Right, I have two friends who had ablations in the last year.
My mother did, just this past month, and she's 87. So, and then I guess more complicated, but she's great. And then she was able to, they were able to take her off of a whole bunch of meds. What I find really interesting is how many women have heart issues. I only remember men when I was growing up. Now it's like every third woman has a heart AFib, ablation.
I used to think that women had a heart attack that was fatal. Men had heart attacks, they had them.
But I think that was because we paid attention to young children's heart attack. Did you want to ask me something or tell me on this? Interesting. Is that before Passover so that you can really? But that's so cool that you're reading this. This is the right time to be reading because these are the Shabbatot leading up to Passover. Very cool. Do you know the author? Was it? I was going to ask that. It's a PJ library. Yeah, that's the first That's very cool.
How are you, Karen? Weeks away from a cruise,
And we don't have to catch up.
so
You're going or you just came back?
going in 2 weeks.
To
yeah.
where?
We're going out of New York we're to Bermuda.
Nice.
with our son and our daughter.
Nice.
So, and it turns out Alexa and her kids and her husband are going on the same trip, so that'll be fun.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
Is it warm in Bermuda now?
Coming back, and you know
I
what?
think it's gonna be like
Yes.
65, 70 degrees. Whatever it is. We're just going. The kids were like, we booked a cruise. Are you guys coming? Because you're our travel partners. And we're like, okay. Our 30 years old, and they're asking us to go on a trip with them. We're going to go.
Right.
Because we don't know. They're looking at a house today. I don't know how it went. You know, like life is going to change. My daughter's having a baby in the end of May.
Wonderful. Our son and his wife are having a baby at the end of May also.
Oh, good. So May 31st. So we'll see. And so we're juggling, and it's all good things right now, and we feel very privileged. And,
That's great.
yeah,
All for good things.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
well, I feel like we work hard, and you know we've got to enjoy all the blessings that are coming along, babies.
You know what? You get to a certain point and it's like, whoa, if I don't have a little bit of these presents along the way, it would have made it so much easier. But now it's true. I know, it's so great.
Babies are all coming around the same time.
It's wonderful.
It is.
When you're of a certain age, you know, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that the other day, that you go through, everybody's having bar mitzvahs. Okay, everybody's getting married.
Right, and
So
now
now it's like babies, so.
very sweet. Yeah. David, how you doing?
I don't know what to tell you. Ed is initiating it. We're organizing a first night Seder down there in Woodland Park.
Oh, nice. Good.
You can take the rest.
Interesting because you got,
Who's gonna lead the Seder?
that's part of the
That's the
problem
incident.
because you've got a whole bunch of people.
I'm a bread lover too. I love bread in Europe. When it comes right out of the bakery,
They're all-
and then I sit down with one
one
and I
Haggadah.
give them the bread.
Well, that's also, I have rarely ever been to a Seder where everybody had the same one. You know,
We're still using the old red and yellow ones that are like taped
No,
together.
we've upgraded.
well, this is ours. I got a copy because we're organized. This is one of them. For the second night Seder, I borrowed a copy of this. Well, we've used this a couple of years now.
Here, yeah.
Here.
And the Philadelphia Museum, the thing.
For the first time in 38 years, I am not making a Seder.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going to be on a ship for the first 2 nights of Seder.
Oh, wow.
And so I said to my daughter, do you want to do it? Because when we get back from the cruise, it'll be Sunday, so we want to do something the following weekend. But honestly, we're just not doing it. Taking the Seder or
Everyone says it.
it's a lot. I don't know.
I'm wondering if it isn't a
Okay.
good present to give our son to buy him a Haggadah instead of bringing them our old
It
teachers.
might be imposing,
Well, he's,
because it depends on if they really want the one that you're going to bring.
yeah, he probably does, but he's much more liberal than what's
Oh, yeah, so
It's lovely.
I ran across one, I'm sorry that I didn't bring it today. We ran across one yesterday called My Hungry
So look on eBay or
God.
something, right?
Oh, The Hungry God.
Yeah. See you later.
Short and quick, because you know what they
Hello.
on their
How are
mind.
you?
well, that my daughter was
Take a look.
and I have a different one that Marty has. It's different. And it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Well, that's almost as much, you know.
Not this thing over.
The rabbi said something for the last couple of years promoting that every Seder should introduce something new.
Oh, there you go.
We
Right?
did that
So you
last
gotta
year
add something to it.
because we had for the first time a new member of the family who was not Jewish. We had people who had how many, and we brought all this other new stuff in, and it was very meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, have a good day, guys.
You too. Take care.
I'll be there by myself. I'll leave. And Ron will come. So it's big. Oh, such a picture. And my son matched for his residency yesterday.
Have a great week off.
Are you going?
Am I going where?
Are you leaving? Oh no, I'm leaving.
You're leaving. You're going to see the baby? Into the beautiful baby boy.
Thank you.
Or whatever he wants to be, right?
Or whatever he wants to be. They actually really don't. They don't gender him at. I just did. They tell us at birth how he was born. They told us, but then they won't gender. They won't even gender in. What is this? How do I get? Oh, I know who this is. Thank God for pictures.
No, it's helpful.
I've never heard of this last name. Now I just realized. How many people do I know named Christian, right? Now I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, there were some new pictures this morning, apparently.
Any pictures?
Yeah. He's not big. He's 7 pounds. That's like the first closest thing we saw to a smile.
Well, that's just because the pictures are up close. It's very sweet. You said his name is Griffin?
Griffin.
Yeah.
This is cute. And there was another really sweet.
That's very sweet.
That's what he usually looks like. So the other one, the smiling one. He's got a little bit of hair, and he's got too much hair. I mean, a lot of hair. Yeah, he's cute.
Very sweet.
He's very cute. Very exciting. That's
That's
the
a great picture.
that's the bio grandma. And the bio sister. The bio aunt, I should say. The bio grandpa. Yeah, so it's not like they don't have a lot of people on here, right? And this is another bio uncle on the other side. This is my daughter-in-law's brother. And yeah, so now he looks at, yeah, now you see. That's the baby. Yeah, Arlo thinks it's so interesting how I always think, this child will survive because he doesn't do a lot right now, so Arlo doesn't feel too invaded.
Right.
And they're brilliant kids, so they're like, everything's focused on the baby. I mean, what's really funny, all the kids will help. So they're both putting Arlo to sleep. Whoever is there holds the baby. Baby is typical second child, doesn't say a word, just hangs out. So everyone who's been coming over is like, and that will be my job.
I'll rock him to baby.
Yeah, I'll just sit with the baby. You go into the
Nap jail. Oh, yeah, nap jail.
So Arlo's getting all of this attention, but he's already noticing that. But he likes it. But by the time the baby's able to grab his stuff, it will be a given, right? And you know this from your nephews. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Last time I saw them, he was still being
Not into it. I mean, it's hard to, but then he'll get into it later. They find, listen, I know, I can only speak for mine. I know the biggest gift I ever gave my kids was each other. My kids are they're best friends with each other.
part of my sister.
terrible. I feel really sorry for only children.
Oh.
But you're stuck
I have
with your
3 older
parents.
brothers. 3 older brothers and a stepsister and a stepbrother, so. But I'm still the baby.
Yeah, yeah. And this is, and my son near, oh, I just told you that.
Here, go ahead. You're tired.
I am tired, actually.
You're
but-
allowed to be tired. Well, the time change didn't help anybody.
I was asking how old he is because I don't know like if residency is like.
He's 27.
So how many years of residency does he have to
He
do?
has 4 more
4 more
years.
years of school. That's crazy.
It's not school. He's a
No,
doctor.
he's a doctor, but
He's
he
a
gets-
doctor. He's a doctor resident, and then in 4 years he becomes. I mean, during that time he takes his board. So he'll be graduated in May. It's very sweet. He'll be he's an ER doctor. So starting, I guess June 1st, he's the person who, when someone comes crashing through those doors, he's on. The only difference is that whenever he's treating someone, there's an attendee in the vicinity. So